somebody else is coming out with her.
So, folks, just for a little bit of context here, we were listening in the background to the reporter in the chopper. It sounded like somebody might have been emerging from the home. So we're just waiting to see if that indeed happens. We might have some new folks joining us here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. So let's paint the picture of what we're watching right now live. This is a raw feed from one of our affiliates. This is the LA affiliate for us, NBC, where they've been watching this home in the Eagle Rock neighborhood, which is north of downtown. There was a multi-car crash that happened on 134 Freeway, eastbound lanes, and we're told somebody ran from that scene.
That's where they're looking.
The person who ran from the scene reportedly went into a nearby home, and a different person who was inside that home reportedly came out with a gun. Highway Patrol fired on them, and there's a standoff now between whoever's now collectively inside that house and authorities. So you can see here at the bottom left of your screen, the street, and there's multiple patrol cars lined up. What we've been watching for the last several minutes are what appears to be police officers or Highway Patrol standing behind their vehicles with guns drawn as this standoff continues. You can kind of get a look there as the camera on the chopper pans around
at that house.
For a little bit of extra perspective, because of the crash that prompted all of this scene, we are still seeing some closures in the eastbound lanes of 134 Freeway. For folks who are not familiar with the area, once again, this is me just a little bit north of downtown Los Angeles, primarily impacting traffic that might be coming from Calabasas or Glendale, heading east to Pasadena. And so as we are now, as I mentioned a few moments ago, coming up on the 8 o'clock hour here on the East Coast, it's probably going to be closer to 5 o'clock West Coast, rush hour, lots of traffic, and we are indeed seeing a lot of jams on 134 eastbound approaching that scene. We saw 511, which would be DOT out there in California, Southern California, reporting basically a full closure, and we indeed saw mostly a closure, full closure on the eastbound lanes. It looks like there might have been one lane of traffic squeaking by on a shoulder or an HOV lane of sorts. But otherwise, this is impacting a whole lot of folks, not only in this neighborhood, but also folks who are probably trying to get home after a long day's work. Once again, Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. As we're approaching the top of the hour here, you're looking at live images from a neighborhood north of downtown Los Angeles where authorities are currently in a standoff with at least one person inside a home. This was prompted from a hit and run, we're told, where a person ran from that hit and run scene into a house, and a different person came out of the house with a gun drawn, pointed towards police. For a little bit of perspective too, as far as, you know, the reporting elements and this feed that we're actually pulling in from NBC Los Angeles, this is a raw, unedited feed, and we're able to access this through the glory of technology. So we have no control over what is actually shown on the feed, what you hear the reporter saying in the chopper,
pointing their guns.
You know, where the camera's pointed, etc. All we can do is just bring this feed into you and give you as much context as possible. So we just wanted to give you that disclaimer that we don't know what's going to happen. We are not in control of how tight that person is zooming in on the house and what we see, other than, you know, obviously actually showing you the shot and bringing it into you.
Over there, right?
Looking at some of the aerials here as the chopper is panning around, it looks like police are actually stationed in so many different intersections around the actual home itself. Okay, so my producer Jeb, who has also been listening in kind of in the background as we've been dipping back and forth between this and the CMS meeting that's underway in Charlotte, he hears that they might be
They're looking at
looking
this
to see if
house.
there's another home or
Well,
another
might as well check
suspect
since
that
they're
might be in a
not saying
different
nothing.
home. Is that what you said you're hearing?
So we were looking at one originally where the man was taken into custody, but now we see police at another home as well, like 1 block away. So we're checking that one out too.
Okay, so basically what we just heard the reporter and the chopper say is what Jeb was trying to relay to me, my producer, is that the news crews here saw them focused on this one home, but being in the air, they actually see that there's a different home not too far away where police seem to be congregating as well. Unsure if that's a related scene or what, but it is piquing the interest of this news crew. So we heard them say, they're going to check it out.
Something that's super interesting is now there are 2 different homes. We know based on reporting what we've heard, there's one suspect who pointed guns at police. There are now 2 different homes in this neighborhood that have police guns drawn on them. I mean, I cannot imagine the fear. Presumably, one of these homes has an innocent person. Like, there's only one suspect that happened. Mm-hmm. They don't know. It sounds like the police
Toward
and the
LAPD
reporters which one the suspect is in. So they're pointing their guns at both homes, which I think is very interesting. That feels, almost bizarre. I imagine how scared these neighbors
Yeah.
They
and
sit on the
individuals are.
street.
Yeah, definitely a scary situation. A lot of questions. This is definitely an unusual scene, for us who, see these crime scenes from time to
Yeah, we
time.
don't
We've
get
covered
anything like this.
standoffs. I don't know if I've ever seen a situation where police start at one home and then there's another home that they're focused on equally
Right.
as.
This whole cul-de-sac, they have people everywhere. That's a completely different scene, this one we're looking at right now, than the 2 homes that have the guns drawn on them.
It's a rather large police response.
I think is that the same one?
It's hard to tell just because the crew keeps
Right, at the end, right, that's the same one. So it looks like there's 3.
moving around. And bear with us, folks. We're watching this along with you. We're trying to kind of use the context clues, if you will, as much as you are, along with obviously the information that we're getting from our affiliates and authorities out there. Okay, we're getting close to 8 o'clock right now. Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We've been watching for the last several minutes live images coming from our NBC affiliate from the sky, where we're told a hit-and-run crash prompted one person running from the scene into a home nearby. Someone inside that home reportedly came out with a gun. There were shots fired, sounds like Highway Patrol reported that the person who emerged from the home with the gun pointed it at CHP. And so that's when police,
Whoa.
Okay. So we're getting a different look here now. It looks like there is someone now standing in the middle of the road with their hands up. They're getting on the ground. I don't know if this is the person in
She
question
matches the description of the woman who
came out of the home with the gun. There are 2 people now laying on the ground. Here, I'm going to pop my box down here
Yeah.
so we can see both people. Okay. We're going to watch right now. Looks like we are seeing some folks being taken into custody. And we'll remind everyone, this is a live, raw feed. We are not in charge of what's shown, only it being shown to you. So we'll keep a close eye on things here. It looks like you might have, let's see, 2 people. Now you're saying the person in black
The one in
matches
black.
a description?
Well, it's interesting because before we had been under the impression, so one person had already been arrested. There had already been a suspect in that initial hit and run who was taken into police custody. And based on what we were hearing about the second suspect, it had been implied that it was a male, but this clearly looks like it was 2 women who are being arrested now. So it may have been a woman.
In question
Okay.
here on Eagle Vista Drive. The first woman, she was believed to be a resident, but this woman here, she's actually the one that police were really looking for because they believe that she is the woman that came out of a home armed with a gun. Now, police fired in her direction. Clearly, they didn't hit her. At this point, it's unclear if she fired back, but they had been looking for her now for about an hour, just taken into custody. As you can see, there's that other woman there up against the squad car. Now, this actually all started on the 134 freeway, which is just to our north here. It started as a hit-and-run crash at the 134 East at Figueroa involving 3 vehicles. Now, one man in one of those cars, he took off running and ran right into this neighborhood, where he ran into the home where that woman in the black was located, and apparently that is when she came out with a gun. Now, their relationship is unknown to us at this time, but we do have some video to show you of that man also being taken into custody. He came out in his boxers. Again, their relationship to each other is unknown at this time, but this did result in a police shooting. No officers were hurt, and 2 people are now in custody. That is the latest here from Eagle Rock and News Chopper 4. I'm Eliana Moreno. Back to you in the studio.
Okay, folks, so there we just listened in live to a report from the sky from our affiliate in Los Angeles. Looks like this police standoff in the Eagle Rock neighborhood north of downtown LA is coming to a close here, as is most of the crash scene that prompted it. Quick recap here. We saw some folks being taken into custody just a couple moments ago. It sounded like the person who ran from the hit and run crash scene, I heard the reporter describing him potentially as a man in boxers. There was another woman who was apparently the woman in black, who was potentially the person who came out of the home with a gun drawn. And we heard that CHP officers, Highway Patrol there in California, opened fire. And there's another person who we actually saw laying down in the ground. She's kind of, I want to say, light brown hair or blondish. Did you hear her say that she thought that she was a resident?
Yeah, that's what I was. I'm not sure the relationship with that blonde.
Okay.
See her now. We're not sure
because she's
completely unrelated to this whole thing.
Yeah, because it almost looked like she's in cuffs.
Yeah, no, they definitely seem to have arrested her.
Okay, but nevertheless, folks, we've got this very active scene that is starting to draw to a close, because for a while, several minutes, we were watching this standoff. Looks like, the freeway's starting to move a bit. Once again, that was the eastbound direction of 134 freeway heading from essentially Glendale towards Pasadena during rush hour, as we're now coming up probably 5 o'clock West Coast time. And as we get more information, we'll pass it along. We appreciate you bearing with us as we are kind of, trying to gather information as it comes in. And once again, live Impact News on WCNC Plus, bringing you live raw feeds. And we're kind of going through the details together as they come in.